Now it's Tuesday night, still the first day of fall. I don't know if I have the same amount of energy that I had this morning. You know, it was nice starting the videos with talking about toast and things, and I'm sitting here staring at this long function tracing example. This is a bit of a tough one. There's going to be a lot going on here. We might as well get through it. I got to prove that this stuff is possible. I mean, our midterms are scheduled in the evening, so I got to be able to do this. And then maybe I'll take a rest. So this example shows off a whole bunch of stuff happening at once. All of it is scoping shenanigans. You'll notice there aren't any for loops or while loops. This is all just straight up scoping involving functions and global variables. It's a development of that previous example. Now, we're not done yet with this type of cruelty. We are going to see more tracing examples that involve things like loops, global variables, and functions all together. We need to be able to trace through things in different scopes in an orderly fashion. So let's take a crack at this. Okay, first thing. I'm going to start working on my diagram for main, and I'm going to remember that because my program here, because I notice that it does have global variables, like that one, I need to make sure all the global variables already exist on my diagram before the program begins. You might also notice that as I run my program, as I call a function and the function returns, I create scopes and I obliterate them. And so over and over again, the variables I create, let's say inside of main or inside of f, they get destroyed. But notice that because the lifespan of Q isn't bound by some scope, Q just continues existing forever. It exists when the program begins, and it's still there when the program ends. It's only destroyed when the whole universe is finally destroyed at the very end of the program after main has returned. So there's int Q, and Q starts with the value 100. Okay, so there's main, and on line 14, I create a variable called Z. There it is. I've created a whole ton of variables called Z today, and I give it the value 10. Well, we're in familiar territory so far, and then I print out start. And I print Q is, okay, so I look for Q, it's 100. 100. Z is 10. And then some stuff happens. So on line 16, Z equals f of Z. Okay, so as usual, to play it safe, I sub in the value of Z, that's 10, and then I prepare to call f. I make a box in my diagram for f, there it is, and I create a box in that for its only argument, whose name is Z, and it's an int Z, and I give it the value that was passed in. So of course, Z takes on the value 10 in this case. And I'm just going to clean that up a bit. Okay, and then I'm ready to begin executing f. And now something strange happens. On line 4, int q equals 9999. And I'm going to, as usual, plug how easy the diagram makes this problem. So int q equals 9999. I'm inside this scope. I create a new variable. Its name is q, and it's an int. And it gets the value 9999. And if we were doing this in our heads, it would be very tempting to set this to 9999. But that's not what I'm asking for. On line 4, I say, make me a new variable in this scope. And because there's not already a variable inside the scope called q, I'm allowed to do that. So I do. And now there's two variables in my program called q, one inside of f and one outside. And so I go to line 5, and it says z equals -10. Well, in that case, it's referring to z in the current scope, which is this variable over here. So I set this to be -10. And then line 6, return q. Well, q in this context, so I'm inside f, I go looking for a variable q. Oh, there it is. I found it. Okay, we're done. We don't need to look outside because I already found my variable q. So I return the value 9999. Okay, great. So I go down here and I sub in 9999 where on line 16, and then f ends. And so I completely obliterate this scope here. Let's just circle that properly. Still didn't get it. One of these days. Sometime before the last day of fall, I'll have figured that out. Okay, so I'm back in main. Z equals 9999. So here we go. We set this to be 9999. And now I go to line 17. Okay, line 17 is also a function call. So I'm saying Z equals G of Z. So I sub in the current value of Z, 9999, and then I prepare a box to call my function G. So there's G, There's a box, and I set up, before I begin executing, a variable for each of its arguments. And so it only has one argument, and its name is x, and it takes on the initial value 9999. And then I'm ready to begin executing G. So I get to line number 9, and it says Q equals 1. Well, I'm in this scope here, and I go looking for Q. I don't find anything. So I go outside. Oh, there's Q. It lives outside in the wilderness. So I set its value to be 1. Then I get to line 10. Create a new variable called z. And as usual, I will brag that z is used in other parts of my program, but there's no real confusion as long as I keep everything organized. Int z equals 6, so I get a variable called z. Its value is 6. And then you might notice G never even uses it for anything. It's just there to be confusing. Line 11, return Q plus X. Okay, so Q, well, inside of G, Q is this value 1. Okay, and inside of G, X has the value 9999. And so 1 plus 9999 is 10,000. And so I return the value 10,000. So I go down here and I sub in 10,000 for the function call, and then, I don't know, third time's the charm, I completely obliterate, is it gone? It's gone. I completely obliterate the scope of G, and I go back to main, and I pick up where I left off. So Z equals 10,000. So I set the variable Z in main to 10,000. And then I get to my last line of output. All right, Q is, and I go looking for my variable Q. Inside of this scope, there's nothing called Q. I go outside, I find the value 1. And Z is, and inside of main, I go looking for Z, and it has the value 10,000. And as usual, as is tradition, man, that diagram made things damn easy. So we're going to need these. We're going to need to keep working with scope. It's going to get more complicated, so we need to stay organized. It's going to be a fun fall.